Hey guys, in these few videos we are trying to understand the art of search space elimination, and in this video we are trying to understand how to find the inverse of a monotonic function using binary search. Alright, so coming to the problem, you are given a function f which is monotonic in a range L to R and a value I, and you have to find the solution of f inverse y in the range L to R. Alright, so let's just say that for example you are given a function f equals to x cube plus x square plus x plus 1, and the range in which the function is monotonic is 0 to 100, and if you notice in this range the function is definitely monotonic. You have to find the value of f inverse of 40. So in this case the answer will be equals to 3, and the let's just have a look at this second test case. In this test case you have to find of f inverse of 4, and the answer will be 10 to the power 4. So basically if you do not know, logarithmic function are monotonically increasing as well, and since the f inverse of 4 is 10 to the power 4, it lies in the range 1 to 10 to the power 10. All right, so this will be accepted as our answer. In case you do not find any solution at all, so in that case you can report -1 as the final answer. It means that you didn't find any solution, right? So let's just move ahead with the problem. Okay, so how do we actually use binary search to solve this problem? All right, so basically let's just to understand that, let's just say that we took an example f of x equals to x square. Let's say our search space is of size 20 from 0 to 20, and the value of y that you have that the value of y is 169. So I actually want to compute the value of f inverse of 169. So this f inverse of 169 will also be equals to square root of 169, but for understanding of binary search we will take the binary search approach to solve this problem. All right, so basically there are a few things that you should keep in mind before solving this problem. So the point number one, if you follow these points, everything will be crystal clear over here. All right, so basically let's just have a jump at point number one. So basically the point number one states that you have to first, what you need to do is you have to check if the you have to find, you should first, what the first thing that you should do is find the value of f of L and f of R. All right, so in this case the value of f of L is equals to 0 and f of R is equals to 400, and you must ensure that y is greater than equals to f of L and less than equals to f of R. If this case fails over here, you can report that there is no solution for this test case, and you can report the answer as -1. So this is the case 1. All right, and you check, in this case you just check if there is a solution for this problem. If there is not, you just report -1. And why is it important for y to lie between f of L and f of R? So if you notice, the function is monotonically increasing. Okay, so if y is either less than f of L, or if it is greater than f of R, y there can be no existing solution of y for this problem. All right, so in that case you have to report a -1. Otherwise there is guaranteed to be a solution for this problem. So that was point number one. Now let's just move to point number two. So point number two, what it states is, at initially we have a search space of some particular size. In this case our search space is L to R, and the size of it is equals to 20. All right, so at the end of each iteration, what we try to do is we reduce the size of the search space by 2, that is half the size of the search space. And the point number two to consider over here is, we ensure that that the answer that we are looking for, it always lies in the search space. All right, we ensure that the answer we are looking for, it lies in the search space. All right, so this is point number two. This is a very important point over here. And now point number 3 is the derivative of point number 2. Point number 3 is we are not actually really trying to find the final answer. We are trying to get very close to the final answer. So if you encounter any such problem in competitive programming environment, even there they will mention that your answer will be accepted as long as the relative error is less than equals to some value, let's say 10 to the power minus 6. So basically what we will do is we will try to get very close to the end answer. We will not be providing the exact answer. So basically let's just say that the size of the search space is now we have reduced the size of the search space to around 10 to the power 8. All right. So if you report L as the answer or R is the answer or even L plus R by 2 as the answer, since you know that the answer is between L to R, the correct answer is between L to R, you have ensured that you even if you report L, your relative error will be less than equals to 10 to the power minus 8. All right, your relative error will be of the order 10 to the power minus 8, and that will be accepted. And that's what we are trying to achieve. What we are trying to achieve is we are trying to reduce the size of the search space to very less as per the requirement of the problem. All right. So basically the more accuracy you want, the more number of iterations you will need to run in the binary search. All right. Now if you have grasped all these 3 points, and if these 3 points are crystal clear, you will be able to follow what I am trying to do over here. All right. So let's just continue to the algorithm, and let's just have a look at the dry run for it. So basically, just like in binary search, any other binary search problem, we will first define our first search space, and I will initialize my search space with this value L and R. All right. So basically, let's just call this L equals to 0 and R equals to 20 as our search space, as they are. All right. Then at each iteration, I compute the value of mid. So let's just say it's the first iteration over here, and the value of mid is 10. And then I calculate the value of f of m, and in this case, it will be equals to 100. All right. Now I compare this value of f of m, and I find that it is less than y. All right. So if the value of f of m is less than y, I need to eliminate all the indices that are less than equals to m. That is the entire search space that is less than equals to m. All right. So the no doubt this entire point is correct over here. All right. All right. So let's just call this. Let's just remove this entire search space and update L equals to 10 in this case. This is how we do our updation. We'll update for this particular case, when f of m is less than y, we'll update L as m. All right. And if you notice, we actually halved our search space in the first iteration. Now let's just have a look at the second iteration to understand things even more in a better way. So basically in the second iteration, the value of m will be equals to 15, f of m will be equals to 225, and I know that f of m is greater than y in this case. So in this case I can eliminate all the values greater than equals to m. So let's just say that all the entire search space greater than equals to m. So for that, let's just move our search space, the right pointer of the search space, to m. All right. So I moved my right pointer of the search space to m, that is m equals to 15, and I will eliminate this entire thing over here. So let's just clean this up. All right. Let's redraw this for a cleaner look. R equals to 15, and it will look something like this. So if you notice, I again halved my search space from 10 to 5. All right. Now I will again calculate the mid value over here, and the mid value will be equals to 12.5, and I know that f of m will be less than the target value that we are looking for, that is 169. So in that case, the L pointer L will be updated to m, that is 12.5. So this will be my new L. It will be pointing to 12.5. So if you notice, at each iteration I'm halving my search space. All right, so basically this is how the algorithm works over here. At each iteration you try to halve the value of the search space. Now how many iterations should I actually do? So the answer is the amount of accuracy that you want. All right, so let's say the initial search space was of size 20. Let's say that you are accepting all the answers with error less than 10 to the power minus 2. All right, so basically in that case, if you perform like 20 iterations, it will be more than sufficient, because 20 is 2 to the power 20 and 2 to the power 20 is approximately 10 to the power 6. So it is around 2 into 10 to the power minus 5. So the relative error in the error in this case, in worst case, will be of the order 2 into 10 to the power minus 5, and 10 to the power minus 2 will be and we will satisfy the criteria that our error should be less than 10 to the power minus 2. So depending on the problem requirement, you can choose to perform as many iterations as you want. So for now, let's just say that we are fixing the number of iterations to 40 over here. You can fix it to any number of iterations as per the requirement of the problem. A good rule is to like maybe take 40 to 50 iterations. They, for most of the problems, they are sufficient. In the hard test, in some really hard test cases, you might want to make up to 100 iterations. So for some cases, for some cases 100 you would have to make up to 100 iterations, but that is also fine. All right, so now moving ahead with the code, how do we actually code this entire problem up? So let's just have a look at that. I hope you got the gist of the algorithm. So let's just say that I have a function f that actually calculates it, and let's just call that function as f. Let's say that function is declared somewhere over here, and I do not really need to worry about that function. I just need to call that function. All right, now let's say that I am given I have created another function that is inverse f. It takes in the range L to R, in which I need to find the solution, and then it also takes in the target value, for which I need to find the inverse. All right, so I will for the first thing which I will do is I will write the base case over here, that if y is less than f of L, or y is greater than f of R, return -1. In this case, there will be no solution at all possible for this problem. Otherwise, let's just I already know the value of L and R, so I will just run, let's say maybe 40 iterations will be fine, right? So let's just say that I am running 40 iterations, or let's just say I am running over around 100 iterations in here. So basically that the value of C is the number of iterations, and you can change that as per your requirement. Then I'm going to do is while C minus minus. All right, then I will compute the value of mid, that is int m equals to L plus R by 2, and I will calculate the value of function of m. So let's just say the value of function m is f of m. All right, now I have two cases over here, right? So the case one is if x, let's say the value of x is less than the target value over here that we have got, that is y. So if x is less than y, in such case I know that I need to update the value of L to m. Otherwise I need to update the value of R to m. All right, and at the end of these entire iterations, after breaking out of the loop, you can return the value of L You can even return r, or you can return l plus r by 2. It won't really make much of a difference. And this l is something that is very close to our final answer, and that's all. We are done with the function. So I hope that you guys got the gist of the algorithm, how we use binary search to find the inverse of a monotonic function. So what is the time complexity for this algorithm? So basically, time complexity actually depends upon the number of iterations that you want to do. So let's say the number of iterations is something like, let's say 100 iterations. You want to do 100 iterations in total. So and in that case, the time complexity will depend on this 100. Another way to think about this is, let's say the size of the search space over here is initially is its s. All right. So basically, uh, let's say that you want an accuracy of 10 to the power minus 6. Okay, that's what you require. So in that case, you might say that I need to perform log 2 s iterations to get a relative error of the order 10 to of the order 1. All right. If you perform log 2 s iterations, the error in your solution will be of the order of 1. And beyond that, you would need to perform around 20 more iterations. So if you call this 20 as constant, so in those cases, you might say that log 2 s is actually the runtime complexity, and is the total number of iterations that we are making in here on an average. So log 2s plus some constant value is the total number of iterations that we are making. And another factor that you need to consider is the time for computation of a function, of the value of a function. All right. So let's just call that as O of, let's say that so in this case, that let's just call that as O of x, and x is the time for computing the value of a function. So because at each iteration we are computing the value f of m. All right. And we cannot guarantee that this operation takes O of one time or O of constant time, so we need to consider that as well. So the total runtime complexity for this entire algorithm will be log 2s into O of x, where x is the time for calling that function once. So I hope that this entire thing actually made a lot of sense, and I hope that you guys got to learn a lot from this video. So I will see you guys again in the next video. Thank you for watching it.